So without further ado, let's introduce these players. Playing for Kaitsu, he is Solar. And down here in the bottom position, playing for Raise Your Edge Gaming, he is ZEST. And as we all know, ZEST is best when it comes to Protoss, but you know, he's got a very big road ahead of him as Solar, one of the most solid, one of the most consistent players alive. And the thing about Solar is the reason he's so good is because he surrounds himself with all of these different strategies. He plays against a wide variety of builds because he's very active in the online scene. You know, if there's an online tournament, he will find it and he will play in it. That's just the kind of player he is, very consistent in that way. You know, ZEST, he's kind of one of those shields of fire. He really wants to protect the Protoss. He's got a wide variety of builds himself, and he really does know how to kind of get under your skin with those cheeses, with those aggressive builds, those timing attacks. And I mean, it's gonna be this is gonna be a great one. And it looks like pretty standard opening so far. We haven't seen any tech thrown down. The wall has been completed already. Yeah, we're kind of just waiting for this game to shape up. Okay, so Stargate to start things off. I don't believe this is going to be for forward raise, although ZEST has been one of the players who's been trying to make it work. Solar just really good at getting that commitment into the lair tech, doing that transition up to the Hydralisks, and really overwhelming you if you decide to go for something crazy like mass void raise. Yeah, just Oracle. Nice, standard, easy, wall off. Everything is right with the world. There we go. The Oracle is going to hit a little bit quicker than that Spore Crawler can finish, so it'll get about 3 to 4 kills. Doesn't want to dive in for the 5th just yet. Again, as I've said a bunch now, 5 is kind of the magic number of damage. For each of those Oracles. But we do see that very fast transition just straight into the Twilight Council, getting the Robo Facility as well. And this is really kind of the power of Protoss. It's really not simple, but it's really easy to kind of switch out of these tech trees and go a little bit further in. Look at that, we're actually going to have charge coming up. So going straight up to the Templar Archive as well. Essentially, this is going to go straight into Archon Zealot charge. And that is so deadly. Like, just very hard to stop here, especially if you don't have a huge roach count. That splash damage just really tears you apart. The Brain of Ire, I like that one. Innovative builds, innovative strategies, and just really solid in implementing them. Solar, though, hasn't really had his economy touched in quite a bit of time, so even now, ZEST not able to get in with those Archon drops, although he will get a pickoff on some of those Overlords, supply blocking Solar for just a couple of seconds. Archons now just trying to get that splash, only going to get one of those drones, and from here, this is kind of just keeping these roaches back while he builds up that zealot count at home. Now Solar has seen this. His small little Ling run by catches a full glimpse on the absolute power, so he's just going to wrap around and try and keep that economy low enough so that ZEST can't afford more units. And I mean, just taking a look at that army size there, Solar a little bit faster on it, and these roaches not going to be cleaned up very easily. Very good concave on them, so the Zealots not going to be able to get too much surface area on the ramp. Back at home, a couple of those Lings just cleaning up that third base. And I mean, from here, ZEST not really getting the best of engagements, but he is able to clean up quite a bit. Looks like forced out of his own third base. Gonna help out ZEST a little bit, get that damage in. But he's still forced all the way back. Now this is gonna prompt Solar to go for this big counterattack. So many roaches on the way. The Oracle is gonna expend what energy they have left. Really good concave on the top of the ramp. Just gonna dive right on top of these Archons, make them pretty much useless. And now just gonna settle for the third base as a consolation prize. Now, as Solar does get pushed back, he has really stunted the growth of ZEST for a while. And behind this, he is sticking with this Roach strategy. He's now getting the upgrades for him. Does he actually? Okay, he does have a lair. I was so worried that maybe he had forgotten the lair. Just because I didn't really see too much that indicated that. But, you know, he's up to that healthy 62 workers. Might want to add on a couple more to get up to 70, around 80. That's really where you want to be. But I think at this point, Solar just says, "The heck with that. I'm going to attack you, and I'm going to kill you right now." Some good pickoffs on the Immortals to start things off. The Ravager Biles cleaning up the force fields. Unfortunately for him, those Archons getting some really good splash damage on the Ravagers, so he is forced back once again. ZEST still below 100 supply, as Solar going to be morphing in 6 what do you call them? 6 Swarm Hosts. I see them so little that I forgot their name for a second. But going to be adding in the Nidus Worm as well, so that is going to be a big nuisance for ZEST to deal with. As this War Prism still trying to get that damage done, but just not finding it anywhere. Okay, we should be seeing that Nidus Swarm start to drop. Good location there. Can go straight into the main base. That forge is so exposed. And I mean, once again, Solar's economy has not been touched. Zest's hasn't either, but both of them have stopped unit production, have stopped drone and pro production. So what they have right now, they're staying on. Now denying the ground weapons, this is going to prompt Zest to move forward, thinking that a lot of Solar's army is in those swarm hosts. But now the swarm hosts just come home, and they are going to be recharged here very, very soon. Worms popping up all over the map. It's an infestation, and Zest is going to be very hard pressed cleaning those up. Got to send those Archons around for the surround. And you know, he's going to go for the 1-2 punch here. The Locust in the back going to try and push away some of this army. A lot of those High Templar getting picked off. On the retreat, some of those Biles cleaning up a lot of the Archons as well. Those are really low health. And I mean, behind this, Solar is pretty much going to be going for death by 1,000 cuts. He's up 60 supply. He's pumping out roaches. And Zest never really able to counterattack, although he is going to try once again. Solar just in his face, going to be able to get in with this run by as well. He's going to be pushing in here. The Locust going to be on the defense. They get right on top of the Archons. Biles blanketing this Protoss army, and the Immortals doing what they can in the back. Good Prism micro there, but still, it's not going to be really enough as the army falls and Solar takes game number 1. So what a fantastic way to start this series. Just absolute powerhouse from both sides. Very scrappy at some points too, but you know, I've been seeing those swarm hosts a lot more recently. They're good when they're not off cooldown or not on cooldown. Other than that, it's anyone's guess. We will be hopping into Light Shade for this next one. It is match point for Solar. And, you know, sometimes I've seen him go a little bit crazy with power once he's ahead. So we might be seeing a little bit of shenaniganry in this game. Press button 1, press button 2. Hear the 3, 2, 1, and then jump into game so nobody says, please change to the scene. Spawning down here in the bottom position of Light Shade, it is our blue Zerg player, Solar. Or as Artosis likes to say, Solar. And his opponent up here, he is our red Protoss, ZEST. So pretty standard start. Nothing too crazy. I wasn't expecting like a 12 pool or anything, but I would kind of like to see some sort of really aggressive link timing. And the reason for that is it can kind of equalize the game in a big way, or it can just straight up kill your opponent very quickly. And at this point, I'm sure these players are starting to tire themselves out. Again, this is the qualifying match. So the winner of this game moves on to the main event next week. And, you know, that's a lot of pressure for both sides here to do well. Will this be a game number 3 for sure? That's a big possibility. Again, these guys are pretty equal in terms of their skill level, usually very consistent players as well. Consistently getting like top 8, top 4 finishes, winning stuff. That's a pretty important one. You know, if you want to make a living as a pro player, you got to win sometimes. But yeah, Zest going to be going up to that Stargate. So hungry that he ate biles. That's a good way to look at it. He had those storms, yeah. I don't even know if he researched storm. I didn't see any falling. Guess the weather for the day was sunny, sunny, sunny. But anyway, we do have that Stargate, potentially just for the Oracle. I don't think he's going to be going for Void Rays anytime soon. Just no real point to it versus Solar. It's one of those things that you have to be careful with. And there's only like a few players that you can make it work against with 100% certainty. Who those players are, I don't know. I haven't met them yet on ladder to find out. Now Solar is going to be able to get in, and he sees the transition. He sees that it's a Twilight Council with that Oracle, who, by the way, has popped his Pulsar Beam. So just being annoying with these first couple of lings, getting that scouting information, and from there it looks like he's gearing up for something else, as we do see 10 more lings and a couple of additional queens just to help out. Now, remember, the Oracle is almost out of energy, so the amount of damage it can get done is very, very low. Especially with the Queen and the Spore finishing up. The third base under fire. The Stalkers not good versus Ling, so that will fall. And that's going to force even more units to come out here to defend, but he might get that cancel, as the Oracle is pulled back home as well. Honestly, I think you could have just dived on that and get the cancel. Whether it's worth the lings, though, I guess not for Solar in this case. So Solar has almost completely stopped drone production, only reproducing that one drone that was just killed. And he's actually pumping out quite a few lings and quite a few roaches to boot. So I think this is where we really see Solar start to shine. There isn't a force field energy, but there are plenty of places for a rotation for the Zerg army as well. So Zest really going to rely on those choke points to deal with this. Actually saying that, Zest is actually just going to almost forfeit this position. One small warping right there, but he concedes the high ground to Solar. Now we do have Immortals on the way. How many are out right now? None. So Solar might be just trying to win it with an overwhelming force here. He will get the third base pretty darn quickly. And now the force fields are going to be pretty much the only thing keeping him alive, as he's going to warp in a few more. There are enough files to clean that up, and we do have a drop going to be coming in as well, with that Dropper Lord being morphed. So Solar just going to hit in multiple locations and try again, I guess. Now, he is giving a lot of time for ZEST to kind of populate his army. Currently taking a look at this supply tab, it's currently up almost 20 to 30. But Solar giving a lot of time to this. But here we go, the first huge amounts of damage coming in. The probes starting to fall like clockwork, and ZEST losing a lot of mining time with that as well. He's, oh my god, I just gotta show this. 1,350 difference. That is absolutely insane. And behind this, he's going to get a cancel on the third base. Once again, the Lings don't really even need to be at home to defend because there's plenty of Biles, plenty of Roaches, and this is just a bunch of Sentries and the Immortals. It kind of reminds me of a Heart of the Swarm style build. Unfortunately, though, the Bile is going to be cleaning up these force fields, and the Lings going to do what they can, cleaning up this wall, and they will get in. Yeah, there you go. It's neck and neck here, but I think ZEST has unfortunately fallen in this game as his probe count plummets. GG is called, and Solar